Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome back. Well, I'm Shua Allegra, the founder of Grace and Hope Consulting. I'm an author, speaker, publisher, counselor, life coach. I wear many hats. But what I love, love, love to do is to share stories, stories that make a difference, stories that touch lives. And today I have a new friend with me, and I'll give her a chance to introduce herself and just let us know a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. My pleasure, Chow. It's so wonderful to be here with you. You are truly a woman of many hats. So hats off to you. God bless you. And thank you so much for sharing your talents with all of us. So my name is Justina Peterson, born and raised in Beacon, New York. And I am a new published author of Not in My Own Strength. And my purpose, my calling in life is to show women how to take back control of their life, through coaching and writing and reading and just being proactive about our lifestyle and not being victims of trauma because it didn't happen to us, it happened for us. So that's what I'm here to do.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You speak my language already. So among all the stuff that I do, when it comes to like the counseling background, I'm actually a certified trauma specialist. So I trauma is like my gym. It's
Okay.
one of those things that I don't want trauma to happen to people, but I am grateful that I can be there and walk with them on the journey to recovery, journey to
Right.
growth. So yeah, so I totally speak that language. Like you say, life didn't happen to us, happened for us, and it's up to
Right.
us to literally turn those stumbling blocks into stepping stone and then
Right.
soar. You know.
Exactly. Exactly.
So how did you get into writing?
So I have actually been writing since I was a little girl. So for as long as I can remember, everything that I could think of, I wanted to write about. And I was a big daydreamer and, always had a crazy imagination. But I don't think I actually tapped into my writing until I started experiencing physical abuse in my home. And then instead of being able to communicate that, I retreated and I became mute. I didn't want to talk to people. And when I did, it was always in confrontation and anger. And so, in order to control that, I had to write. And I had to write whatever it was I was feeling, whatever it was I was going through, because I always felt like I could never tell the person that was harming me. And so that would soon create a long laundry list of things that I had to deal with. But that was how it started, was through trauma.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely like writing is so therapeutic.
Yeah.
Um, and like you, I've that writing is what literally kept me well and brought me out of my own dump, if you want. So I
Right.
totally I can so relate. But
Yeah.
I'm not glad that that happened to you, but I'm glad that it shows your resilience, it shows your strength.
Right.
But I'm also glad that from that you um found your voice,
Right.
things that you couldn't say verbally, you found a way to
Right.
say in writing. And now here
Right.
you're a published author and
Absolutely.
your story chat is touching people. So
Right.
thank you
Right.
for be willing to do that, because not
Right.
everybody finds that courage.
Right. And you know what? Vulnerability is so important, right? I think that as growing up, we're taught like not to be vulnerable, not to be,
Mhm.
overly emotional. Those aren't feelings that you exert, not just for boys, but for women, right? Especially not when you're climbing the the corporate ladder. And so for me, I've learned I need to be vulnerable. I need to wear my heart on my sleeve. I need people to know that, hey, I'm human. I'm not an exception story, right? Your story and our stories, they're very similar. And there are millions and millions of women with those stories. And so we are just taking the time to be vulnerable, to say, hey, it happened and it
Mhm.
happens, right? Of course, we're not glad, but it's necessary. And it didn't happen to us, it happened for us. And just look how God is changing, this pain into purpose.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm. Mhm.
definitely grateful.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I can talk to you forever. Uh, so when you do write, like how do you get into the flow and where do you excuse me, where do you find your inspiration?
So when I usually write, I try to write like really, really late at night when my daughter's sleeping. I have a 2-year-old beautiful baby girl. So I try to write late at night when she's sleeping or very early in the morning. That's actually when God wakes me up. And sometimes God is like, okay, it's time to write. And I'm like, no, God, it's
Like
3:30,
the
four
snooze.
o'clock in the morning. and, and I want to roll back over and go to bed, and then God will just keep wake up, wake up. And so I'm like, okay, so a lot of my writing happens between like 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. and then between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. at night. And sometimes, you know, the thoughts will start flowing, but to just be fluid in the motion, I put on one of some what do you call this, worship piano instrumental music, and then the next thing you know, I'm just pouring out, you know, I'm a freestyle writer, so everything is just, it's coming out. It's wonderful.
Oh, love it. A woman after my own heart, honestly. I have, my kids are not as young as yours, but during the day it's hectic here. They're all cyber school and they all have different needs, so it can get
Oh
really
my
busy during the
gosh.
day. And I work, I run a business, so it gets hectic. So yeah, waking up early, before, when the house is quiet, before anybody else else wakes up, it gives me
Right.
time to write. And then late at night after I put them to bed, then it gives me time to write as well. And
Yes.
worship, I jam. Like I love, like you say, just having that music in the background just gets me like, so focused that it seems like I can
Right.
put anything out. And it just feels like
Right.
divine downloads, right?
Right.
It could be something that I've waited maybe, I don't know, forever to write. But then once I
Right.
get into that zone, I write like there's no tomorrow. It's like, don't give up on
Right. Absolutely. That is so awesome. Right.
Yeah, I can so relate. So you got your book, you recently published your book, and
hmm
what are you working on right now? Like, what are maybe some future or current writing projects that you're working on?
So my future writing project, it's actually already completed. And so I am looking to probably start getting in the midst of editing for publishing probably February. So I will enjoy being a new published author probably for 2 months, right? Because my book is pre-released right now, and it actually will start selling, you know, in the next week or two. And so I'll enjoy being a published author for probably 8 weeks. And then the next thing I'm going to just start. So I want to actually publish my journal. And I feel it is the rawest form of me, like my
Mhm.
prayers, my sad days, my happy days. It's everything that I went through, you know,
Yeah.
over the course of years. So from each journal, I'll take a little bit, I'll have it typed up, and we will bind it and put it together. And then that, I feel like people will be able to see like, whoa, this, you know, not only am I human, but prayer got me through. It is a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Prayer is
hmm
definitely a lifestyle. Wow. So, what might be some advice that you might have for new authors, new writers?
Well, everyone, first off, has a book in them, right? Everyone has a testimony. It doesn't, and don't compare apples to oranges, right? I can't say, oh, well, child, you went through so much worse than me, so I can't possibly write a story, because somebody out there is going to relate to you and somebody's going to relate to me. So don't minimize your story based on somebody else's story. Run with what you have, use what you have to get to where you're going, and don't be afraid of it, right? Because God gave us all a voice and we all have a book. So for a new author, I would say definitely don't minimize your story. Speak
Yeah.
up, speak out, and speak loud, but do it appropriately, not in a way where you're bashing or hurting yourself or anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And do research, right? You want to make sure you know what editors you're getting, what marketing team you're hiring, because your book is only a product, but it's really you that you want to sell. It's your testimony, it's your story, it's the speaking engagements. And so you want to make sure that you have a team that's ready to stand behind you, to pray with you, to pray for you, and to help you with your brand and your marketing strategies. And some days you're going to feel like it's all crumbling, and you know, you need a team that's going to be sensitive enough to say, this is where you're crumbling. This is where we need to pick you up. This
Mm-hmm.
is where you need more support. Because if your team is just saying uh-huh and yes to you, then you don't get to learn what else needs
Right.
to be
They're
done.
too comfortable, right? You have to get out of the
Right.
comfort zone. Yep.
Yeah, you have to be able to take criticism, and the journey is about being uncomfortable. And you have to be comfortable and being uncomfortable, because the moment you're like, oh, okay, I'm comfortable, this is good, then you're not moving. You're not in the right place.
You're
You need to
stagnant.
be
Yep.
uncomfortable, and it needs to be so uncomfortable that it scares you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was recently telling one of my clients, that publishing
hmm
client. So he came to us for his book number three. He started a series of poetry books. He did number one and
Right.
number two, and then he came to us for number three. And
Uh-huh.
when he came, just like you, I'm like, okay, the content is great, but it's like there was no flow. There was no I think maybe unity, if you want, in his work. So I'm like,
Right.
let's just start there. Like all the covers look different, and it's
Right.
nothing wrong with covers looking different, but you want that, like you say, it's not just a book, it's your name, it's your ministry, it's your skill, it's your business that
Right.
you're putting out there with every book that you put out. So you want
Right.
that when somebody picks up that book, that they actually see you.
Right.
Not see your behind, not
Exactly.
your picture on there, but they see you, they see your personality, you see your
Right.
fingerprints are all over that project.
Right.
So we kind of work with him through that. It's like, you need to own this, buddy. And
Right. Right.
after we did his book 3, he's like, well, I think I need to come back and I'm going to redo my book 1 and 2. Now,
Right.
actually, the whole series look more uniform. There's branding.
Right.
Looks more like him, and he's so proud of it.
Right.
So that's
Wow.
Make sure you have a team that sees bigger and beyond what you're seeing right now.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not gonna
Absolutely.
grow. Like I love having friends or peers, and we kind of walk together. But I also want to mingle, if you want, or connect with people who are few steps ahead of me, so that they can pull me over. And
Right.
I also want people who are maybe a couple steps behind me, that I can be the support for them.
Right.
So it's
Exactly.
good to have those 3 kind of people in your life, especially in
Right.
writing or anything else. We all need it.
Right. Right. Wow, you are truly amazing. And I'm just so excited that, I get to be a new friend in your circle. And I look forward to continuing building and learning. And, you'll be probably working on my next piece with me.
I would love to. That would be a pleasure. Honestly, I would
Yes.
love, love, love to. And it's these connections, like, and even with the whole publishing thing. So I started writing my own books, and publishing my own books about 2.5 years ago. And when
Right.
I started, I was just like, well, it's just my story, because I know God was calling me, like, literally to write. And for me, like, I went through a health crisis where I literally had to give up everything that I was doing previously because I couldn't physically do them. I was literally
Right.
stuck in bed, and the only outlet I had was writing. So
Right.
I started to write for that purpose, kind of recycling all the things I had stuck on my computer for a long time.
Right.
And from that came this devotional. And then after the devotional came a self-help book on stress. And before I knew it, I started joining these people, start reaching out to me to do this collaboration project. And then I started doing my own collaboration project where people come and write with me. And I never saw myself as a publisher. People saw that
Right.
in me. And then I have friends
Right.
saying, well, I have this book, I want you to publish this. I'm like, oh, really? You do? Like, I was surprised myself. And then, long story short, now it's history. Like, now I have people who actually had, so I started publishing for people like a year ago.
Yeah.
And it was not until in the middle of this year, someone referred someone else to me for publishing. It's like, well, I went on your website. I said nothing about publishing. I said, yeah, we actually don't even advertise that. It's been word of mouth, and it's been keeping us so busy that, like, in November we had a book launch every weekend in November. That's
Oh
how
my
busy
God.
it's been. And I said, it's honestly, I have not been advertising it, because it's growing on its own.
Right.
And what it taught me, all that's to say, what it taught me is that, not only we have to have people around us that see bigger than what we can see, but also when God is opening those doors for you, those connections putting on your way, you have to be willing to say yes and amen and take that step leap of faith.
Right.
And
Right.
today, the writing piece is literally, the bread and butter of the business. Like, we do a lot of other things, but this is what, fuels the business. It takes most of my time and my energy and
Right.
my resources. um
Right.
and it's a blessing. It's a blessing. Now, for myself, I think, like, my friend was asking me how many books I have. I'm like, I don't know. Last time we looked was like 23, 24, and we actually have
Oh
a book
my
coming out this
gosh.
month. So it's like every month we're popping these books, this collaboration project that I'm doing and inviting others to write with me. And then I'm
Right.
publishing for others. And then I still have to work on my own solo books as well. And
Well,
it's
you better save some time for me because I'm coming to you and I'm
awesome.
expected to come to you February. Like, all right, child, let's do this book together. So,
I would love to. I would love to. Yeah, I make time. I make time for those things. Because for me, it's not just a book. Like I said
right,
earlier, these are
right,
stories that I know are changing lives. Stories that I know
right,
will outlive all of us. I started to
right,
write so that, because when I almost died, literally from a health crisis, I
right.
I
Wow.
didn't want to die and have left nothing on this earth.
Mm,
I'm like, all this experience, all this knowledge, all the things I share with people in coaching and counseling session. I said I could have died. There was no record of it. And it's not to say, oh,
right,
here's my name. No, look at me. No, it's here. What impact did I leave on this earth?
right.
I
Wow,
came and
that's
took space,
powerful.
and I didn't want to take space. You
Right.
know, a friend
Wow.
shared a quote with me. I can't remember who said this. I want to think maybe it was Max Lucado, but I might be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. But the quote said something to the extent where some of us, come and take space, and some of us, take airspace or butt space. A little, that's what it said. And some of us come and actually leave our imprints. So don't
Right.
leave, no, don't leave butt space. Leave, leave imprints of your work, of your ministry, of your skills, on this earth. And it just stuck with me. I'm like, I want to leave. No, that's what I want to leave, a legacy.
Right.
So I
Right. A
write and I
legacy.
publish these books, and I'm really picky about the books that I publish because I want to make sure that things that I'm working on are meaningful. They're aligned with what God called me to do. And
Right.
so anyway, as you can see, I'm very passionate about this. I
Right.
can
And I
talking
love
over.
it. I
I just
absolutely love it.
yeah, it's God. God, it's honestly God. God is just awesome. It's like when you say yes to Him, He shows you more than and gives you more than you can ever hope for. Um,
Yes,
and
it is
and the
so true. Can I just share this story with
sure,
you really quickly?
go for it.
And I just, when you say yes to him, because I literally was just praying a little while ago. And so 1 year ago, I, my boyfriend had broke up with me. I was in my apartment. My truck was about to be repossessed.
Mm,
My lights got cut off and I got evicted from my apartment. And I was begging God to just
mm,
give me this job making
mm,
60,000 a year. Please, God, I won't ask you for anything else.
mm.
I just want to be able to provide for my daughter. And, that was my heart's prayer as a single mom. Like, don't give me
Yeah.
more, just whatever it
Enough
takes
to
to
go.
get
Yeah.
by.
Hmm.
And so, to fast forward now, only 1 year, definitely not something that I could have done on my own. And God has blessed me with 3 businesses and, this beautiful home, a new truck, and, and I'm glowing with love. And when I said yes to God, I was nervous because I'm like, I don't even know what this means. I was
Hmm.
praying, and the next thing you know, I was like, and help me with my ministry. And I'm like, I don't want a ministry. Right. So,
Where did that
and
come
the
from,
next thing
right?
you know,
I love it. Love it.
where did
Oh
that
my.
come from? And so the next thing you know, just yes, Lord, yes. And now I'm walking in obedience and I can see the fruits of what he's done for me. Not because if I had to do it on my own, it wouldn't be good. I probably wouldn't even be here. And
Yeah.
I'd probably only be making that $60,000 a year at that 9 to 5 job. So when you say yes to obedience, it doesn't
Mm,
mean, okay, life suddenly gets easier. It
yeah.
1,000,000% gets harder,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's just worth it. Like the new
Yes.
smile and joy that you have,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes. It is worth
It's a
it. I think at the
selfless
end of the
yes.
day, yeah. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, that you nailed it. It is worth it. It's worth the sacrifice. It's worth waking up at 3 a.m. and writing, right?
Right.
It's worth blocking the rest of your house and like recording this
Right.
interview. And it is worth it. And when you just
Yes.
realize how precious it is to be able to be God's workmanship, like to do his work
Right.
on this earth. Like there's nothing more
Right.
precious. There's nothing that will
Nothing.
ever be more important than that. And he
Right.
gives us the will and the
Absolutely.
power to do his work. He gives us the strength that we need for each day. So yeah.
Right.
Oh, we can talk all
Yeah.
day. I love you. I love
I
you
know.
already. And we just met.
The feeling is definitely
Oh,
mutual.
yeah. So
Right.
in your journey, with writing and with ministry and being an entrepreneur even, what has helped you along the way? Definitely I heard prayer, I heard your faith.
Right.
Anything else?
Um, I would say first and foremost, my daughter, like
Mm,
the, I always think about David and Sal, right? And so Sal had the position, but Sal was arrogant and Sal was like, no, look at me and not God.
mhm,
And I didn't want to be Sal because you know what happened to Sal? His position got taken from him and it got given to someone else. And
yes.
I know that whenever you're not willing to fulfill the will of God, he finds someone else. And then sometimes even that is passed down to another
Mm,
generation. And
mhm,
I couldn't
mhm,
imagine what would happen to my daughter if she had to live through, she'll have her own battles, right? Her own cross to carry, but I didn't want her to carry this one. So it was up to me to break the generational curse of it was okay for uncles to violate their daughters or for mommies to
mhm,
have
mhm,
boyfriends that, so
mhm,
I had to break that curse. I was like,
mhm,
okay, I'll be the one. Whatever
mhm.
that means, I'll be the one. Send me, Jesus. And
Yeah.
so that is what really I looked at her and I thought, no, it's not going to be you. So I would say that's probably been the like 90% of the journey, the willingness to
Mm-hmm.
just want to do it for all of the women, but to make sure that my daughter doesn't have to carry that cross, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
there's millions of women looking to me for my obedience. I mean, they might not be looking right now, but they will, and they will have
Mm-hmm.
stories of trauma, or they
Mm-hmm.
will have overcome it, and they'll be working their jobs and they're making
Mm-hmm.
six figures, but they can't figure out why nothing makes them happy, why everything makes them tick. And it's going to be when they were 12 years old and somebody violated their trust. And
Yeah.
that's going to be the thing, right? And so they're going to need somebody like you and I to say,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay. It wasn't your fault, but this is
Mm-hmm.
how we get through. So my testimony is not my own. And that is why I do it, for my daughter and for all of the women I have yet to meet that just need a voice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, powerful, powerful. Is there something that you know now that you wish
Mm-hmm.
you knew then?
Um, I wish I knew that it was going to be okay, because I spent so much time being depressed and drinking and doing drugs and alcohol and being promiscuous and being with the wrong kind of people, because I didn't know it was going to be okay. I thought I was going to die in the pain, so I was making the pain worse. So
Mm-hmm.
I wish I knew that it was going to be okay, because I feel like I would have lived life differently. I'm not going to beat me up on the shoulda, woulda, coulda, but if that was one thing I wish I would have known, it was that it was going to be okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you know it now and you're using that to make an impact for others.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, we could go back and, and think about all the things that we could have done differently. But it's like you said, it's once we just realize, oh, you know what, I can't go back. I
Right.
could have done better. But now that I
Right.
know what I know, I am
Right.
going to do better and make sure
Right.
that the next person that comes, in my circle, whether it's your daughter, whether the other ladies that you're supporting, that they
Right.
have the tools to do better. Right. And
Right.
because some of us, it's not, yes, the belief that, things will be okay, but sometimes we believe and we don't have those tools to make things okay, or to, to hold on to that faith. And then we
Right.
go back to our old ways. We go back to trying to fix things on our own.
Right.
So yeah, now we know better. We are doing better for us and for the next generation.
Right. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, so I know for the sake of time, I don't want this to end. Like you can just see like my sight here. I'm like, I can't believe this is gonna end. But um,
Yes.
because of the time for everything, I know you and I, connected now, and we'll stay connected. But for others who are watching this or hearing this, where can they
Mm-hmm.
find you?
So they can find me on my website at justinapeterson.com. I also offer free 20-minute coaching sessions to see if we are a great fit to help women take back control of their life. They can find me on Facebook at Justina Peterson, or on Instagram at I am Justina Peterson, and LinkedIn Justina Peterson as well. So my name is who I am, and I own it. So as long as you can find Justina Peterson on Google, you'll be able to find me anywhere.
Awesome, awesome. We'll make sure that we do put those links in the description so that people, as they're watching, they can just click and and follow
Right,
you there, connect with you.
right.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you
you
so
so,
much.
so much. No, thank you. Thank you for doing this with me. Such a
Yes,
pleasure to hear your story and to hear all the good work that you're doing.
thank you. Thank you. And I can't wait to connect with you. I'm going to be giving you a call in like 10 minutes.
Sounds good.
All right, wonderful. I hope you have a great